Alright, what is up everyone? It is Chewburger84 from the Strikeforce Masters of Launch podcast and the Alternerd Reality Network. It's been a minute. Welcome back to the channel. I do apologize that I haven't been posting for a couple of months. For those of you that were following closely, I've been traveling Europe. I went home to Australia for a while, but now I'm back. It is 2019 and it is time to get back on the Strikeforce wagon. So for those of you that like what you see in this video today and you'd like to hear some more in-depth analysis from me and my podcast buddy, Big Roy Awesome, make sure you head over and download the Strikeforce Masters Launch podcast as soon as you finish here. So I thought the best place to pick up for 2019 is where we left off. So I was showcasing some videos about how to one-shot the final Ultimus node within Ultimus 6. Okay, it can be quite challenging. Since the last time that we've done this video, there's obviously red stars playing a factor here. So what I've done is I pre-recorded an iPhone video. It's not the best, but this gives us the opportunity to run play-by-play to show you exactly why I made the choices that I did and how you too can one-shot this node if you do have a Nick Fury team. Now, I'll do my best here to try and make some recommendations, I guess just for general abilities that you should use in certain situations. So if you don't have Fury at a high level yet, it may give you some guidance as to what you should be focusing on this node. So let's jump into it. Okay, so I'm using my S.H.I.E.L.D team. And at the end of this, I'll show you exactly what the team looked like. It is sitting at 234k, so I do have a couple of red stars in that team. No 6s and 7s, unfortunately. I know that's a pain in the butt for many of us these days. Okay, so jumping straight into it, I'll just hit pause before we get in. So when you get into this opening volley, all right, it's very important to know that if you kill anything on this screen, something else is going to come down. All right, so it's very important if you can, using speed down, using speed up on your team, and then also using offense down where you can. Basically, any stuns, any slows that you can do to get as many of these characters to almost minimal health before you kill any of them. It will make the drop down much easier to deal with, and that's exactly what I did here. Now, the reason that Nick Fury does so well on this node, okay, and does so well in raids in general, it's actually the turn meter control, okay? Your ability to, on a critical hit, remove turn meter. Now, when you have an absolute beast like Ultimus on the screen, you obviously want to make sure that he doesn't go very often, okay? So if you have the opportunity to stun, to slow, to offense down, or even better, remove turn meter, that's absolutely what you want to do. Now, there's a couple of risks here as a Nick Fury team, and you're going to see this play out in this video, that with our tanks on either side here, okay, our Kree tanks, what's going to happen is they're going to taunt, and that's unavoidable. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you not use operative on this particular node? Because if you use operative, we all know what's going to happen. You're going to steal the taunt from this particular guy, or this particular guy, and it's going to give it to Nick Fury. And that means that these two Reapers, or even Ultimus himself, can one-punch Nick Fury to death. All right, and that's a very real risk. The problem is, if you don't steal that taunt, what happens is the taunt stays where it is. And you are forced to kill one of these tanks, or maybe both of these tanks, before you can start even poking at Ultimus. The reason that this is a horrible worst-case scenario is that with Ultimus, okay, he can just go free range, and he's going to have full health when the next wave drops. All right, so I'm going to stop the talking and let's start watching. It was played at 3 speed. The reason it's important to play this node in 3 speed is that if you don't, you run a very, very real risk, even with an overpowered team, of timing out. 5 minutes is not very long when you have to kill 17 enemies. So let's have a look at how this played out, okay? We started off by trying to get a turn meter down on Ultimus, which we did. The taunt goes off. The second taunt will come in a moment. We use a single AoE at this stage. We don't want to go wide. Okay. Ultimus does his thing. So he's gotten 1 turn off so far. Now, as we can see here, this is where we're going to steal a taunt with the operative. Okay. Now, I actually avoided it on the first round this time. You may have seen that. What I actually did, because I was worried that Fury's turn was a few away before the Reapers might have gone off, I actually used the double heal, all right, to pop up some of these guys instead of stealing at turn 1, all right? The reason I did that in this situation is I knew when Fury went off, he's going to put an AoE defense up on everyone, so whoever cops that next hit is going to survive, hopefully. It's never a guarantee, because if you look at the amount of buffs that are up on Medic here, Ultimus is going to keep hitting based on those buffs. So let's see what happens. Okay, you may notice that I haven't used the ult on shield security yet, or that special. All right, now I use this to dispel. The taunts are gone. Now I can start trying to work on Ultimus again. Now, that's a big hit from security. We're able to take a lot of health off Ultimus, and you'll watch me now switch targets across this to start picking the health down across all of them, okay? I want to bring their health down to manageable levels so that if I kill one of them, I have the flexibility to kill a lot of them when the next wave drops. Now, look at that. All those buffs on that medic, I nearly died there, okay? And medic would be one of the worst ones to lose, okay? It is almost worth restarting on this one if you lose medic or fury. The others you can get by. If you lose assault, obviously your DPS is going to go down quite a bit. But if you lose medic or fury, I'd recommend a restart if you can afford the energy, okay? So yeah, Ultimus hits like a truck, all right? So I got pretty lucky there that we didn't lose the medic, all right? But we're in a pretty good place at the moment. If you see on the scoreboard, we've got almost everyone down to minimal health. This tank needs a little bit of work, and Ultimus is heading in the right direction of where we need him as well, okay? Now, you want to be careful because Fury crits a lot, and sometimes when you're trying to chip a target down, you can accidentally get a team assist or a double crit, and then all of a sudden you're bringing down the next wave where you want it to or not. So this looks really good, okay? Bringing that team down to even health. We're getting ready for the next wave. It's just a matter of dropping one of them down, and then away we go, okay? Now, I chose to shift off Ultimus there because I knew Fury would hit both of those targets, get me that tank a little bit closer to gone. Then we get our next wave, okay? So as you can see, you get one Oracle and one Boomer. Now, if you can, getting a offense down from the S.H.I.E.L.D medic on that Boomer is going to help you a lot, okay? Especially if your team is a little bit low. So obviously, if you're running Fury, I'd use the medic. If you have a Crossbones, just use his auto attack if he's not ready to explode. Anything that's going to put an offense down. Doctor Strange is another great one. You want to get that on the Boomer as soon as you can. Now, the Oracle comes in preloaded with quite a bit of TM, and he's going to put a regen on everyone else that's on this squad right now, okay? So if you don't kill him shortly, which I didn't, I prefer to take out the DPS, especially the Reapers, because Reapers have the opportunity to put health block down. And a health blocked Fury team means that you run a real risk of dying if you mess up, okay? So we cleared out Ultimus. That's why you want to have him low before you go to the second wave. Ideally, kill him first. You see I put the offense down on the Boomer like I was talking about. And then we clear out a couple of others just because of splash damage. And we're into the next phase. Now again, we have a second Oracle dropping now with the next wave, as well as a Boomer. Okay? Exactly the same strategy. If you can prevent either of those Oracles from getting their heal up, great. It's just going to make the run go faster. If you can't, not a big deal. The focus should be on removing this guy's ability to do damage, the Boomer. Now, I do have both of these two tanks up, and I know there's another tank coming later. So remember that that can force you to have to hit one of those two, and they do heal a little bit when they taunt as well. So you want to try and manage them if you can. Okay? All right, so one Boomer down. All right, we're doing another summons with Fury. Always want to get that up, get the buffs on him, so then he can share the offense up and the counter with the whole team. And then, as you can see, because of a couple of counters and a bit of splash damage, we're now on to the next wave. So what you see here is we have another tank dropping in the back, and we have our Yondu. Too many Ravagers, man. We have our Yondu in the front. Now, we know that Yondu is always a threat when he's on the board. The main reason for that is he's going to steal buffs off your team. If you can stop him from stealing two of those buffs, because let's face it, most of these guys have a buff, he's got a pretty damn good chance of taking some away. It just makes him more annoying to deal with, and it's going to affect your DPS output. And again, that can slow you down. So I like to make him a reasonable priority. It depends on what's happening with the Boomer, though. If the Boomer's about to go off and you've got a low health team, or if you're trying to keep your minions alive, obviously you don't want his splash damage going off on this turn, and you also don't want Yondu's AoE going off on his second turn. So let's see how this one panned out. Okay, we slowed down the Yondu. The splash damage took out a couple of my minions, but did very minimal to me. We've got the Oracles both got their health off, okay? That just means that it's going to cost us a little bit of time. But the other thing it allows you to do is with your operative, it means she's constantly going to steal health and feed it back to Fury, okay? Those regens are going to pop off and bounce over to Fury, all right? The Assault AoE is awesome when you have these regens up across the board or if they do have a tank up at the back because it allows you to strip usually one of those buffs off every turn. Assault is a very underrated turn if you ask me. You're stripping buffs, you're doing AoE damage and get a couple of red stars onto her. I know you can't choose to do that, but if you get lucky enough, I actually think she's a pretty great character. Okay, then we get the next wave drop in. Okay, so now we have another Reaper back on the board and another Reaper up here. Okay, they do a lot of single target damage on their first turns, and those turns can also heal block. All right, so where possible, you want to try and get them to hit your security, although you can't always guarantee that that's going to happen. Okay, now we're getting very close to having all the minions that are here. We can see we've got 10 enemies left, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we know there's 3 minions to come, and some of those you do need to watch out for. So let's go back. All right, we take out that tank at the back. We start chipping away and trying to make sure these Reapers don't get to do their thing. You can see I'm managing the turn meter on the Ravagers first. I get the offense down on that Ravager so that he doesn't have the opportunity to do what he wants to do, which is did his little spiky thing and slap it in my dumb face. And that looks pretty good. So we've got great health across the board with this Fury team right now. We're managing the DPS that they can bring. I'm pretty lucky here that I've got a few red stars, so I'm more likely to resist some of the debuffs, like the heal blocks, especially my shield security, okay? Now, the next wave has come in, all right? So now we're at the end game. Now you have Korath, who you know is incredibly quick. He starts with speed up already ready to go for 2 turns, all right? So he's going to go fast. He's going to heal block someone guaranteed, unless you resist it, which you can't guarantee. And then he has a very good chance of also putting an ability block down as well. So you want to try and manage him where possible. But at the same time, you have to keep an eye out for these 2 characters here, okay? The 2 boomers. When those 3 go off back to back, that can be quite a bit of DPS. Then you need to remember you've got this little guy back here who has the opportunity to do a 3rd AoE if he's had a couple of turns. And then you have these 2 guys, which we know are off cooldown at the moment, but there's a lot of damage potential on the board, all right? And you need to rush it because as you can see, I've only got 2 minutes left. This was a really, really good run. Normally, you've only got about 90 seconds best case scenario at this stage, and you are rushing and rushing and rushing through, which is horrible when you're trying to record a video like this, trying to help people to do what we've done here, because you need to focus on the gameplay itself, okay? So I focus Korath first, trying to basically slow him down, strip some turn meter, okay? And then also I was trying to finish off these Reapers. So as you can see, the heal block went on Fury, and that nearly went very badly, okay? Not focusing that second shot on the Korath like I should have. I hit the Reaper instead. That nearly cost me, all right? So now I'm hoping and praying that that taunt stays up long enough on my security so that I can use my operative to hide Fury away until the next turn that Medic can try and heal him. Or if I'm lucky, his heal might be up itself, okay? And it's literally when you have this many toons on the board, when you have a shield team, it is trying to drop them, like we said before, manage their turn meter, chip them down one by one. Now, at this stage, I saw the clock, I was panicking, I was literally just flooding DPS on whatever I can see first, switching targets, boom! Man, I love that ultimate hit from shield security. He is an animal with several stars. If you have the offense up, most toons are going to die against him. He's just unbelievably good. So managing the turn meter, prioritizing your targets, and knowing who you don't want to go when, making sure that when you are using a Fury team that you're trying to manage that taunt mechanic, which I still maintain is the dumbest mechanic in Marvel Strike Force right now. But what are you going to do? We know the devs aren't too interested in looking at it at this stage, but you need to be aware that if it's your operative's turn and Fury has no turn meter, he's going to sit with a taunt for a long time if you steal it. So that, managing those Reapers, trying to kill that first wave all at once, and remembering when the drops down happen, all right? So when you kill, 1, 2, 3, 4, when you kill 1, when you kill 2, you know the next wave's going to drop. So knowing where that's at is quite important. Now, I know probably some of you are wondering, what team am I actually using here? What orange abilities have I got? So I thought I'd add that in. If you only came for the gameplay, I'll see you next time. So for those of you that want to see what I'm using, I got super lucky only about 3 days ago. This is by far, I would say, the best pull that I've had so far from Red Stars. Another part of the game that I despise, and I've got some content coming very soon to discuss why I think this is incredibly terrible for the game. But I didn't want to come back with a downer. All right, so shield security. I have maxed his special ability because it's awesome, okay? I have every piece that I need except for this one ready to roll to T13, and I've got my 5 red stars. Now, all of my shield team is at tier 12 or above. Nick Fury, what I wouldn't give for some more red stars on this guy, especially watching my fellow podcaster Big Roy roll a 7-star Fury when he didn't even have Fury, drives me crazy, all right? Which I know that he loves very much. So the very first orange T4 map that I put in was into Fury's passive ability. Okay, the reason you want to put it into the passive, the fact that he's bringing in assists, the fact that he's got the chance of putting speed up higher onto the other shield minions means that this team is going to go a lot, and it means the DPS output is going to be significantly better. For me, this should be the very first ability that you upgrade on this shield team. Now, for me, I believe Reinforcements was number 4 of the T4 abilities that I injected, and that's because it gives an additional chance to summon 1 more minion, okay? That just means that you potentially got another shield security for a little bit extra DPS, or another operative, which means you have an opportunity to steal even more buffs, or make them lose even more turn meter than they have now. Same situation as shield security. Unfortunately, I'm missing the same pieces for Nick Fury. So no tier 13 for me. I'm pretty confident those abilities don't even exist, my friends, because, yeah, I've been playing for several months now trying to get those uniques, and they're just not dropping for me. Now, no orange upgrades for shield operative here. Man, I love shield operative. I mean, that buff steal, if it wasn't for that Fury taunt mechanic, it would be unbelievably one of the best synergies in this game. And the fact that she can hide players away is becoming more important now than it ever has been, because we're becoming into a very debuff heavy meta, as well as a very heal block meta. You know, you've got so many characters hitting with heal block now that you need to buy yourself a turn. So it may seem like a waste using extraction because the regens aren't going to proc on the character that you hide, but they can't deliberately hit them with direct damage. They would need AoE or splash damage, and this has saved my butt on so many occasions. But the real reason that she shines is this minus 25% turn meter on crit. I mean, my God, she is a monster. Now, Shield Trooper, I do have him at tier 12. I do have it on 4 red stars, but I don't use him in raids. All right. Again, we talked about it just before. People say to me, you're crazy. You complain about the Fury taunt all the time. Why do you use Operative instead of Shield Trooper? The answer, you need to be able to clear taunts. I know that that has a backfire. I know that that means you have to play slightly differently, but it gives you extra functionality. Like, you could not slow Ultimus down the way that we just did without Operative. It just doesn't work, all right? So your turn meter management is terrible without Operative, and your ability to clear buffs that are in your way are terrible without Operative. So I love Trooper. I think he's great. I use him in Blitz teams, but I don't use him in the Fury squad. And that rounds it out with a Shield, Assault, and Medic. So let's have a look at Assault now. Now, the second orange mat that I put into this Shield team was on Airborne, because it does give another very big amount of crit chance to this team. So she gives up to 50% crit chance for the Shield minions, which is huge, because crits on this team do a lot of things. It reduces the turn meter for the opposition team, and if Nick Fury crits on his basic, he's going to funnel energy into whoever is sitting next to him as well. So this is not to be underestimated. The fact that her AoE also strips 1 positive effect from all targets if it's not resisted. If the focus on this tomb was a little bit higher, I think I'd be happier, but I think she's great exactly as he or she is. You don't know who's behind the helmet, I suppose. Now, Shield Medic. I actually did this last, okay? Out of all the orange mats that I put into the Shield team, I put this... sorry, no, I'm lying to you. It was third. I put this one in there third because this passive means that in every other turn, you are going to feed regen to another shield team. So for me, this is one of the essential ones. The medic, the passive on Fury, and the crit from Assault. You should invest in these if you want to have a very successful raid team. You can put more into the other characters as well if you want. I mean, I know some people that have gone even further, you know, by doing crazy things like a little bit extra healing on the medic. I really don't think that's worth that. But I think those three are the main ones that you need to make a Fury team function. But this we don't talk about enough. With her primary attack, okay, attack the primary target for damage and apply offense down for up to 2 turns. Okay, there are very few offense downs that last more than 1 turn. And this goes off a lot more than you'd think. Then on top of that, you have minus 25% speed bar to whoever you're hitting if you get a crit, which is going to be a very frequent amount of the time when you're running an assault with this crew. I mean, Shield Medic and Shield Operative together, they make raids work for Fury. I mean, yeah, obviously Fury plays a role as well, but every member of that team I love a lot. They're still my favorite team. Obviously, I've been forced to diversify a little bit recently, and some of the videos I got coming up will show you some of those other teams that I use and some of the areas that I think that they could be quite useful. So I know that this last part here was a double up for some people, but there has been a lot of questions about what my Fury team looks like now. Is it affecting the way that I've been clearing content? And as you can see, we smashed out that Ultimus with about a minute to go. So look, I'm going to keep this one nice and short, well, by my standards, and let you guys go now. So thank you very much for watching. If you would like to leave a like and subscribe and comment and do all those fun things, I'd really appreciate it. And if you do want to hear more of this voice, though I don't know why you would, head on over to the Strikeforce Masters of Launch. You can download our podcast, which we release every Tuesday or Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, all the normal places that you would download podcasts. I've been S.H.I.E.L.D 84, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Cheers.